Today we're going to take a look at the old Southland Theater, which a lot of people know as the old former Martin Cup & Son building on 6th and Hill Streets in London. Southland Theater burned to the ground in April of 1951. We're going to take a look at the structure as it is today. Carousel Florist building and the old Southland Theater building, now connected because Martin Cup & Son bought these properties and connected them into one big large furniture store. But right through this area, right here, there used to be an alley. The buildings were not connected, and there was an alley that went straight between them, right through there. Then when Martin Cup turned it into a furniture store building, he connected them and closed that alley. This is Hill Street in London, and that's the Carousel Florist building, which many years ago used to be part of the old Ford Motor Company. And for years, this building here was known as Martin Cup & Son Furniture. There's been several businesses since those days, but this is the back side of the old Southland Theater building. As you will see in just a little bit, pay attention to this concrete pad, which is a parking area in front of the building. This building right here in the center with the blue awnings right there, that was the entrance to the Southland Theater on April the 6th, 1951. On a Friday night at 7 p.m. a fire broke out and destroyed the Southland Theater. It was never rebuilt as a movie theater. In a lot of ways, the old theater is still there. As you come up 6th Street, the building in the distance for many years was known as the Barton building that contained Barton's jewel box is now the Hodge Law Office. And where the color changes to from almost an off-white to a beige, it's where the actual Southland Theater building begins and makes its way back through here. Now, this parking overhang was constructed by Martin Cup for front door parking at some time, but the building actually used to line up right across through here with these poles. And this would have been the projection wall of the movie theater. So right below the concrete pad would have been the stage. The Barton's building, Barton's Jewel Box, Hodge Law Office, it's the cream colored building here. You see the color change right here. And that is where the ownership of the buildings changed, and that becomes part of the old Southland Theater building. And if you start looking, you see the remnants of there's an old window. That is an old door that's been bricked up. Over here is another old window. You can see by the seals, the window seals, concrete window seals. Here's another one here. And this is a door here that I question whether this door was actually here back during the day. This could have very likely been a balcony exit, an emergency exit from the balcony of the theater. Not really sure about that. There was also a time when African Americans were not allowed to go through the main lobby entrance and used a side entrance. They buy their tickets up front and then have to use a side entrance. So that could be another thing that these were used for, especially if that were a balcony. They were probably made to sit in a balcony, and there could have been a stairwell that went up here to that entrance, because that was definitely a door at one time. And then if you're inside, there's almost a break right here where the color of the building changes, where it actually the levels change, almost like this would have been a balcony level up here and then the theater down below, but we'll look more into that later. So once again, keep this concrete pad parking lot in mind. as we go into the old building here. This, of course, back in the day would have been the back of the theater. Of course, and years later, this became Martin Cup and Son Furniture. If you were to tear this floor out of this place, you'd have yourself a movie theater.
I don't know if this is paint or gravel. All I got over here that's splattered everywhere. Is that what you say?
If you come down the steps here, this building, as soon as you get right here, that's the concrete pad of the parking area up above. And this is the theater stage right here. You're standing on the stage when you get down these steps. Now, this back wall right here, straight ahead, Hill Street is just outside of there. And that was the back wall, the projection wall of the movie theater. This was the projection wall. Hill Street's there. Martin Cup created this little parking area, front parking in his store. But this is the theater stage. Since this is the back wall and this is the theater stage, that way is the theater. But as you can see, a wall was created. They actually did a ramp on each side, but a wall was created right here, I guess to help support the flooring that they did upstairs when they built the furniture store. There are two ramps here now, one on each side, but back in the days when this was a theater, it definitely would not, these ramps would not have been here. But as you're standing here on the stage, this is the theater. This is the old Southland Theater down in the belly of the Martin Cup and Son building. There you can see the level of the stage going all the way across through there. Of course, the back projection wall, the stage, which was also probably used for performing. Not sure what all they did here. It's definitely considered one of the premier movie theaters of its time. All of these jack posts and subflooring for the furniture store up above. And you're standing here and at this point, standing in the theater. Now, as further evidence, these are aisles. And the grooves that you see were for courtesy lights. Courtesy lights to help guide you to your seat. There's an aisle. There's another aisle over here. So when the building actually burned, what you're seeing down here is what remained. There's the other aisle. Sloped floors, just like every movie theater you've ever been in. Got a flashlight to sort of brighten things up down here. Stage running across through here. Stand up here by the stage, you can see the theater. I was looking around trying to spot places in the floor where seats used to be, and there's some signs that you can see, especially over on the side wings. You can see bolt holes. There's one. There's one. They're in a line because these seats here would have been sitting at an angle. There's several holes where you can see where the seats used to be. Because these seats would have been at an angle looking up from the side. So you can still make some of those out. Tell you, the old building is still a pretty solid place. A lot of junk down here from left over from several businesses that have operated here over the years. But I was noticing that going toward the front of the stage, if you follow the grooves in the concrete where the courtesy lights once were, they come up and stop about right here and go across. So it would have been so your seating would have probably, this would have been about it. Keeping in mind that's not the screen wall. The screen wall is about another 15, 20 feet behind that block wall. Screen walls back that way. So front row seating would have probably ended somewhere about here where the stage begins. Would have had to. What a grand old building. As with most movie theaters, the aisle, of course, would have taken you out to the lobby and the concession area, which would have gone straight on through there. Some construction has been done over the years, adding this block wall and concrete and another block wall there. Whereas on the other side, it still leads to a door. Of course, that's a framed-in door. The actual old door opening is quite bigger. It's been framed in. And there's a counseling service on the other side of this where you enter on Main Street. And it's hard to really tell whether this block I'd say this block was added after the fire, but the back wall of the theater would have been pretty close to this spot right here. This is a concrete ramp that I doubt this was part of the original theater. In fact, I would say that this ramp was built to get furniture and equipment out of here because these studs up in here were much newer. There probably was a side door that went out right up that way, out onto 6th Street. So this ramp would have been added after the days at the Southland Theater. But the back wall here, this is about where the back wall had to have been. Kind of stepped off rough dimensions of the main floor. It's about 75 feet deep by around 60 to 65 feet wide. So in April of 1951, you could walk down this aisle and pick your seat, settle down to watch the movie. Not on that wall, but on that wall back there. See the dimensions of this stage. About 21 feet deep, about 21, 22 feet deep by of course, the full width of about 60 to 65 feet across. fascinating. She's definitely a movie theater floor. Give you an idea. This is a sloping floor. Incredible. The Southland Theater building. The theater is still here. It is definitely a movie theater floor. So we're going to demonstrate here. Definitely a movie theater floor. A little piece of PVC we want to demonstrate here. It's a sloping floor. Obstruction. Got a paint can. Let's see if this is a sloping floor. Check it out. Definitely a movie theater floor. What a great place. This is the front of the building, is facing Main, and back in the days the Southland Theater probably would have been a living space here on the Main Street side, but you can pretty much see the full width of the lobby. This is on top of the lobby, which is the counseling center downstairs. That's the full width, and more than likely was storage and living quarters for the owners. But just the way that the ceiling changes sort of puts me in mind of the fact that somewhere around in here probably would have been the balcony of the theater, because of the way the ceiling changes. The angle changes. See it really good there. More than likely, this was a balcony area. And then down below would have been the theater, but you would have been watching a screen, which would be not on that wall, but on the outside wall out there where the pink post is on Hill Street. Those posts holding the shed up over the parking area would have been the back wall. As a point of reference, if you were standing here on the balcony level, the theater is down in that direction, the screen back there. But the alleyway that used to run between the two buildings, you can kind of get an idea where that alley used to be, because these two buildings were at different heights. And when Martin Cup combined these two, there's a stairwell and probably about a 9 or 10 foot alleyway. You can kind of get an idea of where that alleyway was. This was the bridge between the alleyway, and if you look out there, there's a window and a tree. That's a little courtyard that you can see on Google Maps. And that's the alleyway. You can also see out there a rock wall just out there. And that rock wall back in the day would have gone all the way back to Hill Street. And the two buildings were not connected, so there would have been an alleyway between these two buildings. Probably about as far back as the balcony would have been. The high seats. And then the screen would have been up there, out there where the pink colored poles are on Hill Street beyond the concrete pad parking area. But it's all still here. This building is still, the footprint, it's all still here. Just like it was in the original days. Just when they remodeled it, they did not remodel it to be a movie theater. Remodeled it for retail space on Hill and on Main. In this Google map image, you see the Southland Theater building and the surrounding buildings. In this image, the arrows indicate where the alley once existed between the Southland Theater building and the what is now known as the Carousel Florist building. In this image, the arrow indicates the extended roof, which slopes toward the Southland Theater building. These arrows indicate the theater wall to the south boundary of the building. The theater is the white building with the darker colored roof extension.